This is another math tutorial with Miss Blanton from Mitchell Red Elementary School in Greenville, South Carolina. Today's lesson is going to be about greatest common factors. And in order to understand that, we need to first review what is a factor. So let's look at this. In multiplication, we learned that factor times factor equals a product. Now, what does this mean? This is our algorithm for multiplication, and it means that two factors or two numbers multiplied together give us our answer, which is the product. So I could say that one factor was 2, another one was 3. When we multiply together, our answer is going to be 6. This is the product. 6 is the product. 3 is the factor, and 2 is a factor. Okay? So 2 times 3 equals 6. Very simple. When we talk about it with fractions, the greatest common factor can help us simplify a fraction. Let's look at the fraction 21 over 28. The numerator and the denominator appear very different. The numerator is the number on top. The denominator is the number that is down below or on bottom. These appear to be very different, but in fact, they have some similarities. So what I want to do is find out all the factors of 21. What multiplies to equal 21? Well, I know we have 1 times 21. That's pretty easy. I always start at 1 because that's our prime number, and I want to find out if that's all there is. But I know that's not the case here. So I want to look at 2. Does 2 multiply to equal 21? And we know it doesn't because 1 is an odd number, or the one on the end is the odd number, and we know that it's not going to be able to be multiplied to equal anything that would be divisible by 2, if that makes sense. So 2's out, but then I come to 3, and I know that 3 times 7 equals 21. And I can't think of any other factors that would be whole numbers that are equal to 21. So these are my 4 factors. Well, let's look down here. What multiplies to equal 28? Well, I have 1 times 28. 2, yes, 2 will multiply to equal 14 because 28 is an even number. 3 will not. 4 will. And then 4 times 7 also turns around, and when it turns around to 7 times 4, I realize that from here, this point on, is just going to flip over to where then it would be 14 times 2 and then 28 times 1. So that's my list of factors there. Now what I want to do is see exactly where they are the same. So let's take a look. We're going to kind of highlight this. I can see that there is 1. They both share the number 1. And they both share the number 7 as a factor. So I think it's pretty easy to say that 1 and 7 are both common factors of 21 and 28. But we want to take the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor turns out to be 7. So our GCF is 7. So now, where does this come in? Well, let's go. We're going to clear this page so that we can kind of get a fresh start and see that 21 over 28, and our GCF down here is 7. Now, a GCF helps simplify our fraction, and when we simplify, we want to take it down smaller. So I've taught our children a golden rule of fractions, and it's always whatever we do to the top, we must do to the bottom. So in order to simplify, we have to divide. That will make it smaller. So 21 divided by 7, because 7 is our GCF, equals 3. Now, I have to do the same thing to the bottom. It has to be equal to this at the top. So 28 divided by 7 equals 4. So in fact, I've simplified now 21 over 28 to show that an equivalent fraction is 3/4. So I've simplified this to the lowest term. And that's what parents we call, who studied equivalent fractions, to know, so that they can identify that 21 over 28 does equal 3/4. Even though they look different, they mean the same thing. So, just remember that when finding your GCF, you're finding common factors. You want to find the largest common factor that these two numbers, your numerator and your denominator, share. Okay? Please just keep practicing. We're going to have our review online soon for our test. So, kids, keep studying. Parents, thank you so much for your help.